Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to play another new song here, and this is off a new record entitled Let Freedom Ring. Alright, some people got the owner's manual here. Well, anyway, this is a record that we recorded down in Mexico City. I don't know why, it just seemed like a good idea at the time, and I figure, you know, making these records has afforded me a kind of a lifestyle all these years, and I don't know, I thought Mexico City might be a good place to go and have an adventure, even if it turned into a kind of a Harry Potter for a crackhead in recovery adventure. Anyway, I had a batch of songs, and I was feeling pretty good about it. We went down there, and within 3 days of arriving, this thing called the pig flu broke out, which was later to be known as the swine flu. And that story was getting around, along with all the CNN hysteria and the paranoia that went along with it. It was really cool. So we were having enough problems, but we decided, yeah, we'll put on the blue masks and we'll, you know, go to work just like we normally would. And we were working in this studio high up on this flat hill in Mexico City that at one time was totally state-of-the-art. I think maybe that might have been around 1958 or 59, I don't know. We never really decided. But, you know, if that wasn't enough, we were working in a studio where the power routinely goes out in Mexico City like 5 or 10 times a day. It's not really an event, just the power goes out, and you know, and this kept happening in the middle of, you know, some really magical takes, of course, and epic guitar solos. Had Paul Bradshaw's name written all over them. Anyway, I started getting a little bit frustrated, and I said to one of the guys at the studio, I said, man, you know, is there anything you can do? The power's going out, like, in the middle of thes great takes. And he's like, well, the power's back on now, man. Which you really can't argue with, you know? So I learned to get a little bit, in my own way, I learned to get a little zen. It turned out that they were my teachers. But, yeah, it really did look for a while that, like, we weren't even going to be allowed back in the United States, which, you know, I didn't really have that big of a problem with. I was kind of having a good time. But there were nights where I was just staring at the ceiling in the middle of the night going, Jesus, man. There were like bats swarming around the room, you know, dude, that was a bad idea. But we got through it anyway. And it was a lot of fun. And we made this record, and then we ended up going back to Los Angeles to do the mixing and some of the, you know, sweetening. And that worked out pretty good because Stephanie's mom and dad live in LA, and you know, Stephanie got kind of bored with the process, so she decided that she would take her mother to New York on a trip to go like see some Broadway plays and things. And I got stuck at her house hanging out with her dad. It was, you know, for a while. And it's just the two of us. It was the Chuck and Phil show. It could be a great sitcom. You guys love that uncomfortable, weird office. I've seen these shows. I don't know if you guys have that expression here when you say that somebody's not exactly a rocket scientist. Yeah? Well, actually, her dad is a rocket scientist. He worked for aerospace, and he did the Star Wars thing and all that bullshit. Great, he's a great guy, really. But he has this thing that he likes to do for sport. You know, he draws me into these kind of technical conversations, and then he just proceeds to just beat my ass with his extensive knowledge of electronics and things, you know? Yeah. It was cool the first, you know, 30, 40 times. But one night we were sitting there watching television and watching the Dodger highlights or whatever and on the news, and he said, so you're down there and you're making this record and you're playing a little electric guitar, I imagine. Now, what kind of amplifier are you using? And I said, well, Phil, as a matter of fact, I'm using a 1963 Fender Blackface deluxe reverb, tube amp, which would be a valve amp in the vernacular. And he just kind of shook his head and said, man, I can't believe that after all these years and all the great leaps technology has made that you would still be using tubes when you could be using solid state transistors that we developed for the space program. Normally I'm pretty cool, but this time I was like, I was like, well, you see, the thing is, Phil, every time I play one note on the guitar, it goes through fire. So you can't beat that. Anyway, this is one of the last songs we recorded for that record, and I guarantee it won't take half as long to play as it did to give you the preamble. This is called Holdin On. I want to send this to anybody out there who's hanging out with their parents.